What if Russia could build a shipping route, powerful enough to rival the Panama Canal, long enough to reshape the entire map of global trade? What if, right now, one of the most ambitious engineering projects in human history was being quietly debated in the halls of Moscow? This is the Eurasia Canal, 700 kilometers of engineered waterway, a project so massive, so expensive, and so geopolitically loaded that most experts say it cannot be done. And yet, Russia is still talking about it. Today we're going to take you inside this mega project, the engineering, the economics, the geopolitics. And we're going to ask the only question that matters. Is this Russia's greatest ambition or its greatest illusion? Here is the problem Russia has lived with for centuries. The Caspian Sea is the largest landlocked body of water on Earth. It holds some of the richest oil and gas reserves in the world, and it goes nowhere. Ships that sail the Caspian cannot reach the world's oceans. They are trapped. For decades, Russian engineers and strategists have stared at the map and seen an opportunity, because just to the west of the Caspian, separated by a narrow corridor of Russian land, sits the Don River, and the Don flows into the Sea of Azov, and the Sea of Azov opens into the Black Sea, and the Black Sea connects to the Mediterranean, and the Mediterranean connects to the entire world. The gap between the Caspian and the Don River, roughly 700 kilometers. That is the distance Russia wants to fill with water. That is the Eurasia Canal. To understand what we're talking about, you need to understand scale. The Panama Canal, the engineering marvel that changed global trade forever, is 82 kilometers long. The Suez Canal, the artery that connects Europe to Asia, stretches 193 kilometers. The Eurasia Canal, 700 kilometers, nearly 4 times longer than Suez, nearly 9 times longer than Panama. This would not just be a canal. This would be the longest artificial waterway ever constructed in modern history. And it wouldn't just be a ditch filled with water. To carry deep draft commercial vessels, container ships, tankers, bulk carriers, the canal would need to be roughly 21 meters deep, wide enough for 2 vessels to pass simultaneously, equipped with locks, pumping stations, navigation systems, and port infrastructure at both ends. The estimated cost? Between $20 billion and $32 billion. Some projections go even higher. For context, the entire expansion of the Panama Canal in 2016 cost roughly $5 billion. Russia is talking about a project 6 times that size. Now you might ask, why? Why would Russia spend tens of billions of dollars digging a canal through its own territory? The answer is power, economic power, strategic power, and the kind of leverage that comes from controlling a choke point the rest of the world depends on. Russia has always been defined by its geography, vast, cold, and chronically cut off from warm water, year-round access to global shipping lanes. The Eurasia Canal would change that. Think about what this canal unlocks. Kazakhstan's massive oil fields, Uzbekistan's minerals, Turkmenistan's natural gas, Iranian cargo, Azerbaijani goods, all of it currently bottlenecked inside a landlocked sea. With the Eurasia Canal, all of that cargo could reach the Black Sea, the Mediterranean, and beyond, in days instead of weeks through overland routes. Russia would sit at the center of that flow, collecting transit fees, setting the rules, controlling access. This is not just infrastructure. This is a geopolitical weapon dressed in concrete and water, but here is where the dream begins to collide with reality. Building a canal is never just about digging a hole, and the Eurasia Canal faces engineering challenges that would test the limits of any civilization on Earth. The proposed route follows a geographic feature called the Kumamanish Depression, a low-lying ancient seabed that once connected the Caspian and Black Seas thousands of years ago. In theory, it sounds ideal. In practice, It is one of the most hostile construction environments imaginable. The terrain is riddled with salt lakes, unstable soils, and elevation changes that would require engineers to move water uphill in some sections, demanding a complex system of locks and pumping infrastructure. The region is also prone to extreme temperature swings, baking summers that crack the earth, and brutal winters that can freeze infrastructure solid. Then there is the water supply problem. A canal this long needs a constant, massive source of fresh water to maintain navigable levels. In a region with limited river systems and growing concerns about water scarcity, where does that water come from? Engineers also point to the issue of seismic activity along parts of the route, and the sheer logistical challenge of supplying and managing a construction workforce across 700 kilometers of remote land. The Panama Canal took 10 years and cost over 5,600 lives under brutal conditions, and that was 82 kilometers. The Eurasia Canal is 9 times longer. The math is sobering. There is another cost that doesn't show up on any construction invoice: the environmental cost. The Kumamanic Depression isn't just empty land. It is home to critical wetland ecosystems, feeding grounds and migration corridors for millions of birds traveling between Europe, Asia, and Africa. It supports fragile steppe habitats that have survived for millennia. A 700-kilometer canal cutting through this corridor wouldn't just displace wildlife. It would fundamentally alter drainage patterns across an entire region. It could introduce saltwater intrusion into freshwater systems. It could accelerate soil erosion on a massive scale. And there is a deeper concern that ecologists have raised, connecting 2 separate sea basins, the Caspian and the Black Sea, risks enabling the transfer of invasive species between ecosystems that have been biologically isolated for thousands of years. The Caspian Sea is one of the most biodiverse enclosed water bodies on the planet, home to 90% of the world's wild sturgeon population, home to the Caspian seal, found nowhere else in the world. What happens when its waters are connected to an entirely different sea? No one can fully predict the answer, and that uncertainty is precisely what makes scientists nervous. Now step back from the engineering, step back from the environmental debate, and look at the larger picture, because the Eurasia Canal is not happening in a vacuum. In the same decades that Russia has been dreaming of this canal, China has been building the most ambitious infrastructure network in human history, the Belt and Road Initiative. Ports, railways, highways, energy pipelines, stitching together trade corridors from Beijing to Belgrade. The Eurasia Canal would fit directly into that network, a deep water shortcut connecting Central Asian resources to European markets. A route that bypasses the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most geopolitically volatile choke points. A route that bypasses the Turkish Straits, where Turkey currently controls access between the Black Sea and the Mediterranean. Think about what that means. For decades, Turkey has held enormous leverage over Black Sea nations. Every Russian warship, every cargo vessel, every tanker heading to or from the Black Sea must pass through Turkish waters. The Montreux Convention, signed in 1936, gives Turkey significant control over that flow. The Eurasia Canal would create a new parallel corridor, one that could eventually challenge Turkish dominance of regional trade. And in a world where geography is power, that is everything. Of course, not everyone is convinced. In fact, among serious analysts, skepticism runs deep. Russia has proposed versions of this canal before. The idea was floated during the Soviet era. It surfaced again in the 1990s. It has been revisited multiple times in the 2000s and 2010s, and each time, it has gone nowhere. Critics point to several hard truths. The financing is unclear. Russia's economy, battered by sanctions and military expenditure, is not in an obvious position to self-fund a $30 billion megaproject. International investors, who might have been interested before 2022, are now largely inaccessible due to geopolitical isolation. China could be a potential financier, but China has its own interests and its own preferred trade corridors. There are also serious questions about demand. Would the canal actually attract enough shipping traffic to justify the cost? The existing Volga-Don Canal, a smaller, shallower waterway already connecting these regions, operates far below its theoretical capacity. If shippers aren't filling the canal that already exists, why would they flood a new one? And then there is the deepest question of all. Can Russia, in its current geopolitical state, build anything of this scale? The sanctions regime, the brain drain, the capital flight, the ongoing military commitment in Ukraine. These are not small obstacles. These are civilizational headwinds. And yet, the economic case for the canal, if it could be built, is genuinely compelling. Central Asia is one of the world's most resource-rich and trade-underserved regions. Kazakhstan alone holds the world's 12th largest oil reserves. Turkmenistan has some of the world's largest natural gas deposits. The region's agricultural output, grain, cotton, livestock, is enormous and growing. All of it currently moving overland through slow, expensive, politically complex routes. A functional Eurasia Canal could cut transit times dramatically. It could reduce shipping costs for landlocked nations by an estimated 20 to 30% on certain routes. It could generate billions of dollars in annual transit fees for Russia. It could transform the port cities at both ends into major commercial hubs. At full capacity, proponents argue, the canal could handle tens of millions of tons of cargo annually. The kind of throughput that changes the economic DNA of an entire region. The Panama Canal, for reference, generates over $3 billion in revenue per year. A canal nearly 9 times longer, connecting resource-rich Central Asia to European markets. The revenue potential, theoretically, is staggering. So, where does this leave us? The Eurasia Canal is one of those ideas that refuses to die. It keeps resurfacing, keeps being studied, keeps being debated, because the logic behind it, at a fundamental geographic level, is undeniable. 2 seas, 1 narrow strip of land, and the potential to reshape how the world moves its goods. But potential and reality are separated by something more than 700 kilometers of Earth. They are separated by tens of billions of dollars that have no clear source, by engineering challenges that would push the boundaries of modern capability, by environmental consequences that cannot be fully predicted or controlled, by a geopolitical landscape that has grown more fractured and more hostile with every passing year. The Panama Canal was called impossible before it was built. The Suez Canal was dismissed as a fantasy before it changed the world. History is full of megaprojects that existed only as dreams, until the day they didn't. But history is also full of megaprojects that consumed fortunes, broke nations, and left nothing behind but rusted ambition. The Eurasia Canal may yet be built. It may be the project that defines Russia's place in the 21st century global economy. Or it may remain exactly what it has been for decades, a line on a map, a dream too large for the world it was born into. What do you think? Is this the mega project of the century, or is it a $30 billion illusion? Leave your answer in the comments. And if this video made you think, you know what to do.